All right, it is Wednesday. It is Wednesdays with Jay. Blackshirt, Big Red Wrap Up, good friend, good golfer, joins us now. Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen.
Let's just start here because this might be the last time for a while that Nebraska and Colorado play. From your time playing here, when I say Colorado, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Disgusting. How about
You
that?
you played in a couple of interesting games against Colorado. I will
Yeah,
say
we
that.
did. Yeah. There's been some good ones. I think I was just thinking back. 02 through 06, they beat us in 02. We got them in 03. They got us in 04. Then we got them in 05 and 06. 06 was with Dan Hawkins coming in. But that 05 game is one of my favorite games that at my Nebraska time at Nebraska in my career. Just going out there, they had clinched the North already. Joe Klatt and crew and Coach Barnett, and we thumped them 30-3. Man, they didn't even stand a chance. That was kind of a restore the order. That was just a thing of beauty. The student section get kicked out. So yeah, I hate Colorado. Always have, always will. Can't stand them, and they can't stand us. But that's what makes it fun.
So, okay, and Jay, everybody knows you grew up in Nebraska. You understood what that rivalry was like in the 90s and how everybody was all in on that. When it came to Colorado Week, was that something that was already built in, or was that something that you guys, especially some of the in-state guys like yourself, had to maybe impart a little bit on the rest of the roster?
No, I don't think so. Not a lot. I think, it obviously transitioning from the Big 8 to the Big 12, the time frame you played them changed. You always had Oklahoma on, Thanksgiving weekend, and then you played, Colorado around Halloweenish time in the old Big 8. But that kind of flip flops. No, I don't. I think the biggest thing when you compare this game as a fan to a player, it honestly is just it was just another game. You said I think you had to prepare every week. Like you just had to be a little more mature about it as a player. You couldn't put more emphasis on it. You couldn't put it on a pedestal. You knew every game was important. But I think I just remember back, we did some different things. I know that 05 game with Callahan, they played the fight song nonstop, the Colorado fight song nonstop. Our scout team actually wore Colorado emblems, the decals on the helmet. So there was little things that were done there. So yeah, there was a little more emphasis on it. I think the staff kind of dialed it up a little more. But as a player, it just was another week. It's lame. I know people probably want to hear me say, no, we did something different. I tried hard. As a player, you tried hard every week, and you put as much time and effort and emphasis on every game, no matter if you're playing Louisiana Tech or Colorado. This is always a fun week, and it always felt good to beat Colorado. It was always fun to beat Colorado in Boulder, and hopefully this night game on Saturday will just be another chance to get another win against the Buffs.
People want to talk about the offense who put up 5 scores and they throw in a field goal and there was a safety. But I want to start with defense. A lot of the frontline guys didn't play a lot, so they're fresh. But when they were out there, they were effective. And I think it's crazy, Jay, that against that offense that is up-tempo, they only snapped the ball 50 times against Nebraska's defense. What are some things that you noticed that, okay, for the first game, the way the score was, played a lot of guys, looked really good for Nebraska moving forward?
Yeah, efficiency, right? I think we talked last week is they had that one drive after the 4th down stop where they got a couple chunk plays. I think the defense made some adjustments, but they tackled very well in space, even during tempo, with how fast they were going. I mean, UTEP was trying to snap that ball with, 12 to 15 seconds left on the play clock. They were wanting to go as quick as possible. But I also think UTEP realized, hey, if we keep going this speed, we're going to kill our guys. I mean, we're going to get absolutely demolished. So I think they slowed down a little bit when it got, the lead increased. But I think just overall, this defense just plays so well with each other. And you think there's little creases or holes that they're going to get exposed. Someone just comes flying in and fills it up. I think that's kind of the beauty of the 3-3-5 is people. It's multiple, right? And it's just not. Everyone has their gap. It's like, no, everyone can play off each other really well, and they have a good understanding because they played so many snaps around each other. So I think that's what I take away is just the tackling was really, really good. They played fast. guys weren't hesitating; they were just letting it go. You saw the tackles for loss in some of those zone reads. Guys were just going. You saw linebackers filling holes. Guys were just playing fast, and that's what you want. They played confident. They just knew like this is the second year within the defense, and they're obviously very comfortable. So there's a lot that I take from that defensive performance. But the fact that they're able to play so many guys, less 50 some snaps, 205 total yards against an offense that wants to go up tempo, high speed. It's that they exceeded my expectations honestly in game one.
The matchup that we're all looking at on Saturday night is going to be the skill position players for Colorado versus the Nebraska secondary. And some of the things that you just talked about right there apply to this matchup too. If you're looking to neutralize that threat, most important thing you're looking for out of that matchup, Jay, on Saturday night?
Yeah, it's a lot. I think you look, okay, who's gonna match up with Travis Hunter, who's gonna match up on Horn. I think they'll do a good job of moving those guys around, getting motions, so they're just not always maybe on Tommy Hill or whatever it is, because obviously I think he's our best cover guy at the moment. It's simple as what Nebraska needs to do, and I know Colorado struggled doing this. You got to stop the run, right? That's going to neutralize once you can get them in. Then when they know they can't run the ball and you got to throw it, you're playing right into Nebraska's defensive hands. They're going to be able to dial up so many different looks, so many different coverages. They can roll in and out of certain coverages with some of those guys in the back end that are so experienced and played so many good snaps. And also, honestly, the other thing is you got to be able to rush four guys. That's the biggest thing. I don't think you will blitz at times, but I don't think Nebraska is going to necessarily need to. I think the D line is better than Colorado's front five. So I think the ability to get home with four, and you have seven guys on the back end that could cover that stable of wide receivers that they have that are so explosive and really, really good. That's my biggest key is obviously stop the run, get home with four, but then once you're able to get home with four, you can get really creative on the back end with coverages, and you can bracket Hunter, you can bracket Horn, you can do some things, you can get really creative because there's so many, like I said, that back end's played a lot of football. So I think those are the few keys to slowing that explosive wide receiver group down.
Jay Moore joining us here on Mornings with Sharp and Hanley. Let's go to offense, and we're going to have to probably adjust how we look at quarterback play at Nebraska with 15 under center, which, by the way, went under center. How come no one's brought that up?
That's a good point.
He went under center on Saturday. But, Jay, we have spent the last couple of days talking about his eyes, his poise, his pre-snap read, just the way he got in and out of the huddle. Those are things that we haven't necessarily focused on. So he's got one game under his belt. It gets more difficult on Saturday night. If you're looking at what you saw, what you know, what worries you about Dylan's second game as a starting quarterback at Nebraska?
Maybe just trying to press too much, I'm not saying getting too comfortable, but just trying to force it and I think every talk is right. Improve from game one to game two. That's where teams make their biggest jump. And almost being too hungry, too wants to improve so much, that you get over your skis a little bit. So I think just having him be calm, let the game come to you, adjust, lean on your run game, lean on your, that the coaches are going to put you in the right situation. Don't think you have to go out there and do too much because you are playing Colorado, because this is a night game, because the fans have had this game circled since last September. I think that's probably the one thing that could potentially hurt a young quarterback like that. But I think just what we saw, I don't expect that to happen. I mean, the kid is mature beyond his years. I mean, he's not a normal 18, 19-year-old kid. He operates at a different level. So I don't foresee that to be the problem. But I think if you have me to, you ask me the question, I think that's just the one area is just trying to press too much, trying to do too much when you really don't need to. Take what the defense gives you, lean on your run game. So I think they're going to be able to run the football pretty successfully against Colorado, and just not try to do too much.
Things about his performance, I know there's been a lot of analysis of 4 quarters of play of meaningful football, but there was a lot of takeaways there. if there was one thing other than just the arm strength that we know is there, if there was one thing that you saw that, hey, that looked good, but that's something that I expect to look good as he continues as opposed to who you're playing, what would that be?
Oh man, who's you talking about in terms of Raiola?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think his ability to always throw a catchable ball is really impressive. He hasn't really shown the ability to throw a fastball, and I think he has it. But his off-speed pitches, we want to talk pitching terms, it's a thing of beauty. And his guys are always, it's just, we've had quarterbacks in the past that have had strong arms, but they always have a fastball. It's putting the touch on the ball.
Yeah.
And he threw a beautiful pass. I can't remember if it was Banks or Nayor, I think in the first quarter, just right over a linebacker's hand. The guy gets the wide receiver to sat there perfectly in zone coverage. And I think that goes unnoticed. I mean, that is a fantastic football. I mean, in years past, that's thrown right to the linebacker for a pick or it's a PBU, right? His ability to continue to put arc on it, have touch, have finesse, and always throw a ball where only his guy can get it, I think is one thing we'll continue to see. He'll just continue to get better at. But it's impressive to watch the young man work and just have those off-speed pitches. We haven't had a guy like that in quite some time.
How does the defensive line get home continuously on Saturday night? It looks like they'll have an advantage against, I think, Colorado's offensive line outside of a really good true freshman. They're still trying to figure things out. We know Nebraska's defensive line, Jay, but we know they go quick, and you've got a guy that likes to improvise. How does the defensive line get home? And then when you get home, bring him down.
Yeah. Well, I think first and foremost, again, it's just simple defensive talk. You got to stop the run. You got to get Colorado in third in predictables, get them behind the chains. You know they're going to have to throw it. And they had success getting home against Shador last year. 8 or 9 sacks, I believe, in Boulder last year. And they played really well in that first half. It just with the turnovers and all the time they're on the field with that altitude, they just couldn't hang in there when it got to the second half. But you got to get them in third and predictable. Like I said, you got to get home with 4. They might rush 3, bring a backer up the middle, so you are bringing 4. But you just, again, it's just know what you right. Know or have a rush that you know you can win with. I think as defensive linemen, you like to have what's called a repertoire, right? And to have all these rushes and be fancy. Man, just find a rush that you know you're going to win 99% of the time with, whether it's a bull rush, stab, chop, speed to power, counter inside, whatever it is, and just find one and pick one and go to town. I think there's going to be a lot to add with that D linemen. I think they're going to be able to get there and create and the amount of sacks they had last year. I think the unique thing that you'll see from Colorado potentially is, are they going to keep a tight end in there to help protect? Are they going to keep a back in there to help protect, to chip some of these guys, to help out some of those guys in the interior, which they do great, because guess what? Now there's not enough guys going in the secondary, and it just makes those guys easier to cover. So it's going to be interesting to see that cat and mouse, to see how that Colorado offense is going to be able to help protect those offensive linemen and keep guys off of Shador.
All right, we'll get you out of here, and I'll put you on the spot with this, and I'm sorry to do this, but you're good enough. You can only pick one guy. It can either be a coach with a headset or a player in a helmet. The most important person for Nebraska football on Saturday night is?
Marcus Satterfield.
Ooh, okay.
And I say this because if Nebraska gets down early, somehow that explosive offense, they get a big play, you're down 7-0, 10-0. I don't want him to have to press and think he has to start chucking it. I think this team still needs to commit to running the football, and you saw that on Saturday. But you have to own the time of possession, and against this Colorado offense, you got to do it. You got to keep the ball out of their hands. Even how good our defense is, Colorado doesn't have opportunities and chances to make some some explosive plays. It's just that they're too good, and they have too many good players to get that done. So I think if that happens, I hope it doesn't happen, but still commit to the run. Don't press. Get great calls for your young quarterback. Get him in the rhythm. Get the timing going. Get some confidence going. But I think, again, like with Dylan pressing, I just hope, if that does come to it, Satterfield doesn't, he's not pressing as well. So I think Satterfield has a pretty important job on Saturday to handle his young QB and get the run game going.
I absolutely agree. Great insight. Jay, I appreciate it as always. Have a great rest of the week and enjoy Saturday night.
We will. Thanks, guys.